The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
I want to tell you an astonishing story, my friends. This is written in Rav Moshe Feinstein's biography. Rav Moshe Feinstein had a Rebbe from the years of 15 to 19, and although that doesn't sound like important years necessarily for Rav Moshe Feinstein, who was a tremendous giant and genius, 15 to 19, the Rebbe he had at that time, he called his primary Rebbe for life. That was the Rebbe he felt that had the biggest impact on him. And the Rebbe that he had was Rav Pesach Pruskin. Now, Rav Moshe Feinstein was a genius, knew all of Torah, tremendous. I mean, you know this, we all know this. Rav Moshe Feinstein was of the leaders of his generation, top. Knew Torah backwards and forwards. Unbelievable good midas, everything. Rav Moshe Feinstein, who doesn't quake when you say the name of Moshe Feinstein, a giant. Who must have his Rebbe been? His Rebbe must have been even bigger. Knew more Torah. I mean, can you imagine what his Rebbe must have been like? For him to call him my Rebbe means I learned from him. He must have been a giant. And Rav Pesach Pruskin was a giant in Torah. But my friends, listen to how Rav Pesach Pruskin became a giant in Torah. You cannot make this up. Rav Pesach Pruskin was always a special person and dedicated a lot of his time to growing into being a very, very righteous, beautiful, stunning Jew. No question about it. A very inspired Jew. And in the yeshiva Eitz Chaim, they asked the Pesach Pruskin to be the mashkiach. That's like a spiritual influence in the yeshiva. And with Pesach, that's where he was, that's what he did. Now, as much as he was inspired and devout and an inspiration to others, in learning, in Torah knowledge, he was nothing special. He was average, maybe. And one day, a group of students are sitting there, students in the yeshiva, far younger than him, and they're learning, and they're discussing a piece of Talmud in Bava Kama. And they have a question that they're debating back and forth on this piece of Talmud. And when Pesach Pruskin walks by and he hears the question, and he decides he's going to give his input. He has an idea. And he offers his solution to the question. And apparently, it wasn't a very good one. Because he was not great in that regard. And the place was silent. It was somewhat awkward. And in fact, some of the boys even smirked. And how silly they thought that answer was that he suggested. Pesach Pruskin, he's already an adult. He's already an established person. You think it's over, my friends. It ain't over. It's never over. He was so pained by this embarrassment. He was so pained by his inability to learn Torah on the level that he wanted to. He went off into the corner. And he wept. Doesn't say he davened, no words, tza'aka. He just cried from his heart. Wants help from Hashem. He's not happy where he is. He's not happy that he can't access the great light of Torah the way he wants to. And he just weeps. And he falls asleep. And in his dream, they tell him from heaven, wake up, Rav Pesach. Continue learning. Don't stop, and you're going to see unbelievable siyata d'shmaya, unbelievable heavenly assistance. Rav Pesach woke up from his seat right there, where he went to sleep average, if not less. He wakes up with renewed commitment, recognizing that he's a new man. Because he called out to Hashem. And he begins learning again. He begins tackling Oh, but this time, it's a different person. All of a sudden, he's absorbing the words of Torah. And he went to Reb Chaim Brisker and he learned by him. And all of a sudden, he's absorbing all the depth, all the clarity, all the knowledge. And all of a sudden, Reb Pesach Pruskin goes from being average, from having yeshiva students smirk at him, and he becomes one of the geonim of his generation, one of the geniuses in Torah in his generation. In fact, so much so that they told him, you got to go open your own yeshiva. And he went off to open his own yeshiva, and Rav Moshe Feinstein, the genius, was his student, because that's how great Rav Pesach Pruskin became. You hear that? That's written in Rav Moshe Feinstein's biography. It's a real story, my friend. Rav Pesach Pruskin became a genius in Torah from what? From weeping in the corner, from asking Hashem for help. Hashem, shape me into the person I want to become. It works. It's real. We're allowed to, and we're supposed to take advantage of it. This is one of the most powerful ways to succeed and to grow, is to take advantage of this. And it doesn't matter how old we are. Rav Pesach Pruskin was not young. It doesn't matter how stuck we are. You can ask Hashem for help. If you ask Hashem to help you get close to Him, it's guaranteed to be answered.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org